Okay, let's apply some reverb to our snare using the sends. We can see that our master section has a room reverb on send 2. So let's give it some level, not too much though. Right now, we're using the sends in post-fader mode. This is correct for this application, so the effects are always in proportion to the amount of dry level in the mix. If we need to though, we can make these sends pre-fader, meaning the level going to the effect unit or wherever comes at full strength regardless of what the fader is set to. Maybe I'll put a dash of it on my kick too. We can adjust the level and pan for the send here. If we want to edit the send, I can access it in the rack by clicking the edit button. We can see that the reverb sits underneath the master section. One thing that's great to try, especially if you have a drummer with consistent dynamics, is what's called parallel compression. That's when you put a compressor on a send and use the sends to give a boost to your tracks. Let's right-click in an empty space in the mixer and select Create Send Effect. Then go to Dynamics, then Drums. Monster Drum Smash should do the trick. Usually, an aggressive compression setting works well. Back in the mixer, let's rename it Compression and send all the tracks to it. Wow, that really wakes up the mix. Now, let's have a look at our Insert section. The Insert section allows us to patch a rack of inserts directly into the mixer channel. Just for fun, let's put a psychedelic phase patch on the overheads. Click the Browse Insert Effects patch icon here. We can either pick any of the phase effects in the Record Factory folder, or because I have Reason installed, I can also pick from one of the effect devices from the Combinator directory. There, that sounds pretty cool. Those of you who are already familiar with Reason will recognize this area as the front end of a Combinator, with rotary knobs and buttons that are programmed to tweak selected parameters. If I click my Edit Inserts button, we can see all the insert effects neatly self-contained in the rack in a device group. If I click Show Programmer, you can see that this is really a Combinator patch. If you're unfamiliar with the Combinator concept, it's covered in its own chapter. Let's get rid of the phaser by right-clicking on the overheads and selecting Clear Insert Effects. Down at the bottom of the mixer, we have the usual suspects level and pan. We can also mute and solo tracks. Over in the master section, we can turn off all the mutes or unsolo all tracks with one click. If we need to turn the music down in a hurry, we have the dim switch right here. We can assign colors to channels by right-clicking and choosing Track Colors. We'll cover the master section in its own tutorial, but just a sneak preview, let's gel our drums together with a little master compression. We'll set our threshold, leave the ratio at 2, and play with the attack. Generally, you want most of the mix to hit the compressor, so you don't want too slow of an attack, but you don't want to squash the mix either. Let's set a medium release, and maybe some makeup gain. Awesome, that's the mixer.